Every Sunday at 9 in the morning, Leonard Cole sat down at his desk and wrote to his daughter. Same chair, same blue pen, same yellow lamplight, because the overhead light in this room had burned out 2 years ago and he kept forgetting to replace it. Or maybe he didn't forget, maybe he just liked the lamp. Felt right for letters. He was 76 years old and he had been doing this for 6 years, and Claire had never once written back. Not a letter, not an email, not a text, not a birthday call, nothing. He wrote anyway. He didn't know if she read them. He didn't know if she kept them or threw them away unopened or something in between. He had no way of knowing because she had gone completely silent in 2018 after the argument that he had replayed in his mind approximately 10,000 times since. Sometimes sure he'd been right, sometimes sure he'd been wrong, most times landing somewhere in the painful middle where the truth usually lived. The argument had been about money, about the inheritance after Leonard's wife Patricia had passed. Claire had expected something different than what the will said. Leonard had tried to explain. Claire had said things. Leonard had said things back. She had driven away and not come back. 6 years, 312 Sundays, 312 letters. He picked up his pen. Dear Claire, he wrote, it's Sunday again. The maple in the front yard has finally gone completely red. Your mother always said that tree was showing off. Think she was right. I think she was right about most things. He paused, looked out the window at the maple, then kept writing. The argument had started over numbers and ended over everything else. Patricia's will had divided the estate equally between Leonard and Claire. Standard, clean, what Patricia had always said she intended. What Claire had expected apparently was more. Not from greed exactly. Leonard had tried to understand her side over 6 years, and he thought it was more complicated than greed. Claire had been the one who showed up, who drove 2 hours every month during Patricia's illness, who sat in the hospital, who handled the calls Leonard couldn't make because grief had gotten into his hands and made them useless. She had done more. She had expected that to be reflected. It wasn't, and Leonard, raw with his own grief, had said, your mother's will was her decision and I'm not going to second guess it, in a voice that came out harder than he meant. Claire had said, you never see what's right in front of you, and that had stung because Leonard suspected it was true in ways that went beyond the will. She left. He called twice. She didn't answer. He wrote the first letter. That was 2018. What Leonard had learned in 6 years of Sundays was that silence was not the same as absence. Claire was somewhere out there, Portland, Oregon, last he knew, still working at the school district, still living in the apartment she'd moved to after her divorce. He knew this from her cousin Martha, who offered information carefully and without betraying confidence. Claire was alive. Claire was fine. Claire had simply decided he did not exist. That was the part that kept him up at nights. Not the anger. He'd mostly worked through the anger. Just the particular grief of loving someone who had decided you weren't worth the cost of a stamp. He kept writing anyway, because stopping felt like agreeing with her. Martha called on a Thursday in October. She was Claire's cousin, Patricia's niece, and she occupied the careful middle ground of someone who loved both parties in a conflict and had decided the best she could do was maintain both relationships without weaponizing either. Leonard appreciated her more than he'd ever told her. I saw her last weekend, Martha said. She came down for the harvest festival. We had coffee. Leonard waited. Martha always got to the point eventually. She asked about you, Martha said. What did she ask? How you were doing, whether you were still in the house, whether your knee had gotten better. A pause. She knows about your knee, Leonard. I don't know how. Leonard looked at the stack of letters on the corner of his desk. 312. He wrote about everything: the weather, the maple tree, the knee surgery in spring, the neighbor's new dog that barked at precisely 6 a.m. every morning without fail. She reads them, Leonard said quietly. I think so, Martha said carefully. I didn't ask directly. Leonard sat with that for a moment. Claire in Portland, Oregon, opening envelopes every week, reading about the maple tree and the knee and the neighbor's dog, saying nothing, but reading. It was not nothing. He understood that now. Did she say anything else? He asked. Martha paused in the way that meant yes, she said. Another pause. She said she didn't know how to come back without admitting she'd been gone too long. Leonard closed his eyes. That's the most Claire thing she's ever said, he said. Martha laughed softly. I know. After he hung up, Leonard sat at his desk for a long time, then pulled out his blue pen and began the next letter differently than he ever had before. Dear Claire, Martha told me you asked about my knee. It's better. The surgeon said I healed well for a man my age, which I chose to take as a compliment. I want to say something I haven't said in 300 letters. I'm not sure I said it enough when we were actually talking, so I'm saying it now. I know you showed up for your mother in ways I couldn't. I know you drove those 2 hours every month when my grief had made me useless. I know the will didn't reflect that, and I know my response when you brought it up was wrong. Not just the words but the tone, the hardness in it. I was drowning and I took it out on the person closest to the water. I'm sorry, Claire. Not the reflexive kind. The kind that took me 6 years to fully understand. I don't know what you need from me. I don't know if there's a version of this where we find our way back. But I want you to know that these letters have never been about guilt. They've been about the fact that you are my daughter and I love you, and I am not willing to let silence be the last word between us. The maple is still showing off. Your mother would have loved this October. I'll write again next Sunday. Love, Dad. He sealed it, addressed it, set it with the others to mail Monday morning, then sat back and looked at the lamp. He didn't know if this letter would be different than the others. He didn't know if Portland would stay silent for another 6 years. He didn't know much of anything except that he had finally said the true thing, the underneath thing, and that felt like the first honest breath he'd taken in a long time. Outside, the maple blazed red against the gray October sky. He watched it until the light faded. The call came on a Wednesday, 5 weeks after the different letter. Leonard was in the kitchen making tea when his phone rang. Unknown number, Oregon area code. His hand went still on the kettle. He answered. Dad. Her voice was the same. Older. They were both older. But underneath it, the same voice that had called him Daddy until she was 12, and then switched without announcement to Dad as if she'd made a formal decision about it. Claire, he said. Silence for a moment, the kind that wasn't empty. I read all of them, she said. Every letter. I have them in a box. Leonard leaned against the kitchen counter, his tea forgotten. I know I should have written back, she said. I kept starting to and then not finishing because every time I got close to sending something I thought about how long I'd waited and it felt impossible. Leonard said quietly. Yes, Martha told me. I know she did. I'm not mad at her. A breath. Your letter in October. The one that was different. I meant it, Leonard said. I know, Claire said. That's why I'm calling. They talked for an hour and 40 minutes. Leonard stood in his kitchen the whole time because he'd forgotten he could sit down. They didn't fix everything. 6 years doesn't dissolve in a phone call. The wound was real on both sides. But they talked, really talked, the way they hadn't since before Patricia got sick. At the end, Claire said, I don't know what this looks like going forward. Neither do I, Leonard said honestly, but I'd like to find out. A pause. Then, me too. The following Sunday, Leonard sat at his desk at 9 in the morning. Same chair, same lamp, same blue pen. He pulled out a sheet of paper, wrote Dear Claire at the top the way he had 312 times before, then stopped, looked at what he'd written, then smiled, the first real smile in this room in longer than he could measure, and put the pen down. He picked up his phone instead and called her. She answered on the third ring, groggy with the time difference, Portland 2 hours behind. Dad, it's 7 a.m. I know. I'm sorry. Old habit. Sunday mornings I sit at this desk and, he paused. I almost wrote you a letter. A beat. Then Claire laughed, tired and genuine and completely herself. You can still write them, she said. I like the letters. You could write back occasionally. I could, she agreed. I'm going to try. They talked for 20 minutes about nothing. Her week, his knee, the neighbor's dog who had recently expanded his schedule to include 5 p.m. as well as 6 a.m. Small things, ordinary things, the things that make up a life when you're actually inside it together. When they hung up, Leonard sat at his desk and looked at the blank page. Some things you hold on to because letting go feels like losing. 312 letters, every one of them an act of refusal. Refusing to let silence win. Refusing to stop being her father just because she'd stopped being his daughter for a while. It had worked. Not quickly, not cleanly, but it had worked. He capped his pen, turned off the lamp, went to make his tea. Next Sunday he would call again. The letters had done their job.